I love you, you love me. You've got that song stuck in your head right now, don't you? I feel like there was a window in the 90s where if you grew up during a very certain period, you loved Barney and every other person hated Barney the Dinosaur more than anything. It's incredible that you wouldn't realize, had you just watched Barney and Friends, all of the baggage and dark and complex history surrounding the show, especially when you realize what happened with its creator's family and the immense hatred for the show that was exhibited throughout the 90s. So let's get spooky. Hey, spooky people. It's your best friend Kenny here, and we are back with another spooky, disturbing video. Before we get going, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Please go ahead, like, and share this video. Share this video with your Uber driver. Your Uber driver is probably watching YouTube anyway while he's driving you. You know, you might as well just have him watch me and listen to me. Why have your Uber driver watch somebody else and risk your life when you could be having him watch me? The story of Barney and Friends began in 1988 with Cheryl Leach, a Dallas-based mother who noticed a lack of engaging video content for preschool children. Inspired by her son's fascination with dinosaurs, and who doesn't love dinosaurs? Growing up, I loved dinosaurs. I still love dinosaurs. She conceived of a children's programming featuring a friendly purple Tyrannosaurus Rex named Barney. This is the first problem. T-Rexes are not supposed to be friendly. Like, that's part of the problem with this show. T-Rexes are supposed to be terrifying, horrifying animals. And even now that we realize that they are just giant, terrifying birds, there's something about a T-Rex covered in feathers with giant teeth. It's terrifying. Anyway, the T-Rex's name is Barney. Leach, along with a small team, produced a series of home videos titled Barney and the Backyard Gang, which depicted Barney coming to life through the power of a child's imagination. The power of imagination was all that we needed. The show's leap to television was a stroke of serendipity. Larry Rifkin, who was an executive at Connecticut Public Television, discovered the Barney videos through his young daughter, who was in love with them. Rifkin realized there was a potential for a PBS TV series here, so he convinced Leach to allow CPTV to adapt the concept for television. Thus, Barney and Friends premiered on PBS in 1992 and forever changed the landscape of children's entertainment and our culture. Thanks, dude. Surprisingly, the character of Barney had different individuals responsible for his voice and physical presence. Bob West provided the friendly, somewhat dopey voice of Barney from 1992 to 2000, followed by Dean Went from 2001 to 2010. Inside the suit, David Joyner embodied Barney from 1991 to 2001, with Carrie Stinson taking over the later seasons. These actors faced challenges, from the physical demands of performing in the giant costume to the intense scrutiny and hostility from those who disliked the show. I bet they sort of wished after a while that they were completely anonymous, just collect a check and, don't tell people that you're Barney. Despite its popularity with preschoolers, Barney and Friends became a lightning rod for criticism and controversy. Older children, teenagers, and even adults found the show to be excessively saccharine, simplistic, and enraging. Barney's perpetually upbeat demeanor, his simplistic approach to problem solving, and the show's repetitive songs and storylines were frequent targets of anger and derision. The backlash manifested in a bunch of ways. Barney bashing events. College campuses became hotbeds of Barney bashing, with organized events where students could unleash their frustrations on the purple dinosaur. These events often involved the ritualistic destruction of Barney merchandise, kind of like what they did to Beatles records in the 60s. Students would gleefully smash Barney dolls with hammers, tear apart plush toys, and even engage in mock wrestling matches where Barney was pitted against other children characters, such as Big Bird from Sesame Street. And Big Bird was going to win that. Big Bird was scrappy as hell. He cut you up, man. These events were seemingly harmless fun, but reflected the societal trend of aggression towards Barney. The I Hate Barney Secret Society was a thing, designed by Robert Curran, a disgruntled father who tapped into the simmering discontent among adults by creating the I Hate Barney Secret Society. Curran felt cheated by Barney's simplistic worldview and annoyed by the show, and he challenged his frustrations into a newsletter and website dedicated to criticizing the purple dinosaur. His efforts resonated with a large audience, highlighting the growing anger with Barney's brand of unrelenting positivity. You know, people talk about toxic positivity nowadays, and Barney is the embodiment, is the purple embodiment of toxic positivity. The animosity towards Barney permeated popular culture, finding expression in various forms of media. Ted Janulius, the man behind the San Diego chicken mascot, iconic, incorporated skits into his act where he would physically assault a Barney lookalike. The physical assault on Barney was a comedic parody, but sparked a legal battle with the show's creators, who sued Janulius for copyright infringement, seeking a staggering $100,000 in damages for each instance of Barney's likeness being used. The lawsuit was dismissed, with the court finding in favor of Janulius and his right to parody. Go free speech! Beyond the San Diego chicken incident, and now I am now aware of 2 San Diego chicken incidents, which are too many San Diego chicken incidents. Barney became a frequent target of ridicule in TV shows, magazines, and online platforms. He was portrayed as everything from a purveyor of mindless fluff to a symbol of excess. The widespread mockery contributed to the decline in Barney's popularity and fueled perception of a dark side lurking beneath his friendly exterior. Beyond the general dislike for the show's simplistic nature, critics pointed to specific aspects of Barney and Friends that they found problematic. Barney's voice was described as dopey and irritating, and this was a common complaint. His personality is perceived as self-centered and lacking in emotional depth. Although I'm not sure how much emotional depth you really get from television shows, especially television shows in the 90s. Some argued that the show's emphasis on sharing and kindness could be misconstrued as allowing people to walk all over you. Even Barney's dietary habits, with his penchant for sweets and treats, were scrutinized as promoting unhealthy eating habits in children. Damn! Starting to feel bad for this Barney. Barney couldn't do anything right. The creators of Barney and Friends found themselves embroiled in various legal battles, beyond the previously mentioned lawsuit against the San Diego chicken. They sued a website for publishing an article titled 150 Ways to Kill the Dinosaur, claiming that it incited violence to the character. They also pursued legal action against websites that hosted parodies of Barney, such as the Jihad to Destroy Barney, a collaborative role-playing game where players imagine themselves as soldiers waging war against a purple dinosaur. These lawsuits were intended to protect the integrity of the Barney brand, but they raised questions about the show's creators' tolerance for criticism and their attempts to stifle freedom of expression. The show had more troubled history outside of the courts. The show's creators had personal tragedy. The immense success in Barney and Friends reportedly had tragic consequences for Cheryl Leach and her family. It supposedly contributed to the breakdown of her marriage, culminating in divorce and her husband's subsequent unaliving. Tragedy struck them again in 2013 when Leach's son, Patrick, who was the inspiration for the show, was arrested for shooting his neighbor. Patrick struggled with addiction and mental health issues, and he was ultimately sentenced to 15 years in prison, although his sentence was later commuted. It sort of shows you that this show took everything from Leach, quite literally. Barney was created around the same time as the internet became a fixture in people's lives, and the internet did what the internet does. Barney was one of the first victims of the internet. And of course, the internet spawned a plethora of fan theories and urban legends surrounding Barney. Some of the more disturbing theories suggest that the show was a front for CSA and trafficking, with the children on the show being held against their will. Others claim that Barney is a demonic entity, preying on the innocence of children, and that the show's songs and storylines contain subliminal messages promoting sinister agendas. Now, my videos do have sinister agendas, but I've not perfected subliminal messaging yet. So just keep watching, and hopefully my sinister agendas will become more subtle. While these theories are largely unfounded and often fueled by the show's detractors, they contribute to the overall sense of unease surrounding Barney and Friends. Even the rumors about the actor who played Barney, including claims that he hid drugs in the costume's tail or unalived himself in the suit, add to the show's dark mythology. These rumors highlight the extent to which Barney had become a symbol of both beloved childhood nostalgia and adult anger and rage. Despite its initial massive success, Barney and Friends eventually experienced a decline in popularity. The show faced increasing competition from other children's programs, many of which adopted a more sophisticated approach to storytelling and educational content, and also not upsetting people. The negative publicity surrounding the lawsuits and scandals surrounding the show likely contributed to its downfall, as did the growing trend of Barney bashing and the perception of the show as outdated and out of touch with contemporary values. Underlying the show's decline was its inclusion in TV Guide's list of 50 worst TV shows of all time, the only public television series to receive this dubious honor. The critical panning combined with the dwindling viewership signaled the end of an era for the Purple Dinosaur, and Barney and Friends officially retired in 2010, although reruns continue to air. The cancellation of Barney and Friends didn't mark the end of the franchise. There have been several attempts to revive Barney, each with its own unique approach and challenges. In 1998, plans were underway for an animated spin-off titled BJ and the Radical Rumblebutts. BJ and the Radical Rumblebutts. Somebody didn't really think that through, or maybe somebody did think that through eventually, right? Because the concept never materialized. In 2015, a revival of Barney and Friends was announced, but it failed to come to fruition. The Barney franchise eventually found new life, though. In 2023, Mattel announced a new animated series titled Barney's World, which premiered in 2024 on Cartoonito and Max. This reboot is produced with CGI animation and aims to introduce Barney to a new generation of children while retaining the core values of love, community, and encouragement. The reboot also includes a special titled Barney's World, I Love Me Too, focusing on self-esteem and emotional well-being. Now, I didn't hear about this reboot until doing this research for this video. So on one hand, maybe it's not that popular, but on the other hand, that might be a good thing. Maybe it's not as universally hated as the original television show was. If you are interested in more details about the absolute wild downfall of Barney, Peacock produced an original documentary called I Love You, You Hate Me. I believe that if you grew up in the 90s, you either loved Barney or you hated Barney, and there was very little middle ground there. It was one of the most polarizing shows, which is crazy when you realize that on its face, it's a kid's show about a weird talking dinosaur. I was on the hating Barney the Dinosaur team, by the way. Hated having that show on. Hated watching that stupid dinosaur. Hated the stupid song. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure that you like and share this video. Please make sure that you are following me on Blue Sky and TikTok. My username is AKBrews. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. My username is AKBrews there as well. If there is a spooky and disturbing story you would like me to cover, send me an email. My email address is thespookylawyer@gmail.com. If you'd like to make a donation to the channel, there is a super thanks button in the YouTube toolbar. You can click that button and donate some money to the channel. I would appreciate it. Any money that goes to the channel will be put back into the channel to create better, more engaging, more interesting content. I've got a bunch of great ideas coming up. I'm going to be shooting some on-location videos that I'm very excited about. And, you know, I look forward to doing that stuff for you guys. You also support me by watching and sharing these videos. It means a lot to me that you watch my videos, that you care enough to click play and to listen to me talk for 10, 15 minutes. I appreciate it. And, of course, I also ask that you stay spooky.